We're not really kind of doing agriculture, we are mining the land. We do not spare our land even for a day.
So I am going to cut straight to the chase and I'm going to ask you, how did we reach here?
What we are seeing today is an outcome of the policies which were aimed at intensive agriculture. We tend to blame the farmers. Farmers are not to blame. It's not their fault. Farmers did it because we wanted them to do it.
Today we have a very special guest, a retired IAS officer who has been the Chief Principal Secretary for the Chief Minister of Punjab. We have Mr. Suresh Kumar.
Punjab State Water Policy 2008 we formulated. It was approved by the Chief Minister. It went to the Council of Ministers, but it was not approved for implementation.
I'm going to put you on spot. What stopped you from implementing this policy? Welcome to the CIPT Podcast, a podcast where we discuss about water governance and agriculture sustainability. In this podcast, we are going to feature people who have worked tirelessly in their lives in order to make agriculture and water practices sustainable again. Centers for International Projects Trust was established by the Columbia Water Center of Columbia University. And since then, it has been working at the intersection of research, development, and grassroots implementation. It is now focusing on improving water use efficiency, sustainable water savings, farmer well-being by improving income, and building a water-efficient agriculture model across Punjab. This podcast is an attempt to ask important questions and find some answers. Our guest today is Mr. Suresh Kumar, a seasoned public administrator, policy thinker, and retired IAS officer who has served both the Government of India and the Government of Punjab with distinction over a career spanning more than 4 decades. Throughout his career, he has worked extensively on agriculture, water resources, rural development, climate resilience, sanitation, and governance, holding several key leadership positions. He is also a continuing international policy fellow associated with the University of Cambridge, where he has worked at the intersection of research, policy, and implementation. Beyond public service, he is widely regarded as a thoughtful voice on governance and public policy, a motivational speaker, and an author. His recent book, Insights from the Frontlines of Governance, Reflections of a Civil Servant, draws upon decades of experience in administration and development. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
It's my pleasure to be talking to you, sitting right now at your place in Chandigarh.
It's my pleasure to have you here, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Suresh, I really am intrigued with what is happening right now in Punjab. At one end, if I come here, every time I take a train from Delhi and I come here and I see fields, they are, so green that it will give you an illusion that probably you are getting into this heaven of greens, right? And then when you come here, when you talk to people like you, because I have done this through this podcast, I've met with a lot of people who have been working here, they tell you about the reality of this place. So I am going to cut straight to the chase and I'm going to ask you, how did we reach here?
I think you made a right observation. Punjab is the heaven. It was heaven. It will be heaven in the future as well. Yes, we have difficulties. While you see the lush green farms, lush green agriculture field, but at the same time, there are issues in agriculture. See, Green Revolution was visualized at the national level. The national government, the nation wanted adequate food to see that nobody goes hungry in this country. And after a great deal of analysis, thoughts, scientific evidence, it was decided that Punjab, that time in 1960s, late 60s and early 70s, Punjab is the right place. Now that time Punjab included the Haryana, the present Haryana. So because, the state had good quality land, quality water, and a dynamic human resource, the dynamic farmers. The state's farmers were given all the policy support, resource support, and they were given target that you have to produce enough for the country. And Punjabi farmers did that with a grace. But unfortunately, while all incentives, all policies were worked out aiming at food security, aiming at farmers' financial security or income security, did not think through the fallouts of intensive agriculture. What we are seeing today is an outcome of the policies which were aimed at intensive agriculture. Unfortunately, we tend to blame the farmers. Farmers are not to blame. It's not their fault. Wheat paddy rotation, wheat paddy cultivation, or the food grain production of the present magnitude was never done in Punjab. In fact, we were in a discussion with Professor Jodhka a few days back. He's a professor of anthropology and sociology in JNU. He told us that Punjab was never an agrarian state. We never produced. Punjab means pre-1947, it was never an agrarian state. It was an urban state. It was more urbanized than any other state in the pre-partition, pre-1947 Indian state. What we see today is pure and total dependence on agriculture. The policies were aligned with the target of producing more and more wheat and rice. And farmer did that. But there was some kind of environmental results, environmental outcomes which probably were either overlooked or deliberately not really accounted for, because the first priority was let's have enough food for everybody and we'll see what to deal with. What you see in the farms today, what people have been telling you about decline in soil quality, decline in water availability, environmental pollution in the villages, in the urban center, this is all what we call is the environmental cost of price of green revolution which we are paying. It is an outcome of the policies. It is an outcome of the system and structures we created to achieve self-sufficiency in food. It is not the farmers who did that. Farmers will never do it. Farmers are still not willing to do it. Farmers did it because we wanted them to do it.
Also, I was reading a very, very interesting article that you wrote, and you wrote something and it stayed with me that, the more resource that a particular place has, the more it becomes dependent on that resource. Now, how I resonate with it is because I come from Jharkhand. Jharkhand is a very, very resourceful place. But if you ask someone, Jharkhand is also some of the, least developed places. There are people like me, there are people, hundreds and thousands of people who migrate every year from there. Probably a lot of those people come here in Punjab in search of work also. So is Punjab also, under that category where it has a lot of resource, but
Paul. What you're saying is the resource curse. So Punjab is a victim of resource curse. We had good quality land, we had good quality water, we had good quality resource of farmers, and as a result we did intensive agriculture. We are actually, what I've been talking about is we are not really kind of doing agriculture, we are mining the land. We do not spare our land for even for a day. Every inch of the land is cultivated, and it's cultivated more often 2.5 crops or 3 crops. Every farmer is taking 3 crops because they have learned to do it, and they have learned through the policies and program. Policies and programs have given them incentives. Policies and programs have given them the support. Policies and programs have made agriculture in Punjab kind of assured risk-free agriculture. Now, if you make any occupation risk-free, more and more people will get dependent.
Can you elaborate more on risk-free agriculture?
All occupations have some kind of a risk, and there is more risk in agriculture. All these things which were required to attain a level of production, our level of productivity, were taken care, were catered to by the Government of India. Credit is provided on time. Input supplies, whether they are seeds, fertilizers, agrochemicals, are provided on time. Every grain which comes out of the land or the soil is picked up by the grain. So there is no marketing risk. There is no risk related to input supplies. There is no risk related to farm management. Whatever assistance farmers needed to manage their farms professionally, it was given through the extension services of the agriculture universities or the agriculture department. So farmers' hand-holding was done from kind of farm till the market.
Great.
Until they went back with the remuneration and price. In the process, they earn more income also. Their income levels, whatever they were earning pre-Green Revolution, incomes have kind of doubled or trebled. But they have stagnated now because the production and productivity has stagnated.
So in the long term, the risk did come back to them.
Farmers as of now are kind of living in a phase of life where the income is almost stable or stagnant. Now, if they move away from wheat and paddy rotation or from production of food grains to other more cash crops or more remunerative crops, one, we need to give them alternatives. Two, we need to do the handholding of the farmers. We need to give the policy support, the institutional support, the financial support in the manner we did in the Green Revolution. Unfortunately, the policies are not kind of catering to the requirements. Let's say paddy consumes the maximum water. If we want people to shift from paddy, have we given them enough support for alternative crops? Be that whether it is maize, corn, sugarcane, or horticulture crops, or pulses, the other cereals, or the coarse cereals. Have we done any policy? I don't see any policy. You've given the full marketing support for wheat and paddy. Why don't you give full marketing support for maize? Why don't you give the kind of incentives you are doing? Your incentives as on today are totally misaligned. So whole incentive scheme, the process and policies need to be redone in a manner that farmers are incentivized to shift from the wheat and paddy, to shift to less water consuming crops than what's happening now.
But the argument could be that, we are giving more and more MSP in the kind of different crops. We keep adding different crops within that list and increasing the MSP price for that.
That's not correct. Yes, it's correct in the sense when it comes to political argument or bureaucratic justifications, people will show you the notification that yes, there are 23 crops which are notified and for which the MSP is declared. But how many crops are you buying? Are you buying maize at MSP? Are you buying cotton in MSP? There's no government agency for procurement of maize. There's no government agency for procurement of potatoes. Cotton is very sparingly purchased by the Cotton Corporation of India. It's generally the private purchasers who buy it. MSP actually is not guarantee that the government should buy or government will buy. MSP is declared to see that the market remains stable, farmers are not exploited in the market. That's the purpose of it. But when every grain of rice or every grain of paddy is picked up, every grain of wheat is picked up, farmers expect the other crops should also be picked up by the government. Now, government has to find a use for it. Government has to find a consumer for it. Wheat and paddy, there is enough demand because poor people need to be given at subsidized rations, and some people are even given free rations under the national food security laws. But at the same time, corn is not given free of cost. Cotton is a commercial crop. Other cash crops or other sugarcane, other crops are all cash crops and are remunerative crops. The policy makers expect that the private traders, the corporates should buy that. But the farmers do not like that. What we need to do, we need to find a way to diversify MSP. It's not a case that you should withdraw MSP on wheat and paddy. But at the same time, you should diversify MSP or find other way of stabilizing market. Now, one of the common ways and common tool is the deficiency price support. Meaning, encourage the farmers to grow maize. Ask them to sell them in the market. Develop a system wherever whatever they sell in the market, if they are able to get the minimum support price or more, no burden comes to the government. But if they are unable to get because of poor quality, high moisture content or more glut in the market, whatever may be the reason, there could be many market conditions. In that situation, whatever is the difference between the actual price and the MSP, that deficiency should be met as a subsidy or as a direct incentive or direct income support by the governments. So there are alternative ways to meet the requirement, the basic requirements of MSP system, or diversify MSP.
But that's the dichotomy that I have, and probably policymakers also have in India. Like, if I have to reduce the produce of Punjab that is happening at this point in time, is that commercially viable for the farmers who are producing it?
See, you cannot reduce it. Let me tell you, those of us who say that paddy should be removed or eradicated or not allowed in Punjab, that's not going to happen. Paddy is a source of livelihood, is going to stay for all times to come. We have made the farmers habitual, number one. We have made the farmers to behave in a particular way, and we also made the farmers dependent on rice and wheat rotation. Rice and wheat gives them some kind of an assured income and stable income. Now, their livelihood depends on that. About 10 million acres of land we cultivate. We grow wheat, rice, we grow chickpeas, we grow quinoas, we grow cotton, we grow sugarcane. The total amount which comes to the Punjab economy is about 150,000 crore every year. So this 150,000 crore which farmers produce every year and give to the state's economy, the government should take advantage of that and see that 150,000 crore becomes 450,000 crore. Imagine, there's a paradox here. Annual agriculture produce is about 150,000 crore. State's budget is only 260,000 crore. That means we are not taking the advantage of whatever is the strength of Punjab, the economic and fiscal strength of Punjab. This is the strength of people of Punjab.
Punjab is facing probably the worst debt crisis at this point in time, and what you call a policy paralysis. Can you tell us a little more on that?
Punjab is not undertaxed. It may be a little lower than the national average, but it's as good as many other states. But yes, Punjab, Bengal and Kerala are three states which are highly debt stressed because our expenditure is not managed as prudently, as wisely as it should be. It's not that the tax revenues are low, but our expenditures are very high. Expenditures are high, one, because of the administrative costs, the staffing costs in the government or in the provision of public services. Expenditure is high on the freebies and subsidies. It's not a case that all freebies should be abolished. Freebies need to be rationalized. They need to be more aligned with the goal state has it.
I'm going to put you on spot. What stopped you from implementing this policy? You came up with the state water policy in 2008. Tell us, what were the core ideas back then? What was it that you were thinking, and what were the roadblocks? Why was it not implemented?
See, Punjab State Water Policy 2008 we formulated. It went to the Council of Ministers. It was approved by the Chief Minister. It went to the Council of Ministers, but it was not approved for implementation. We were directed that put it in public domain for more deeper consultation, more wider consultations with the stakeholders. And since 2008, it is still available in the public domain, and you can access it on any internet, but the policy has not become the policy of the state. Why we thought of the policy? Because there are two aspects of water resources in Punjab. As you know, the demand side and supply side. Supply side, one is the groundwater resources, another is the surface water, river water resources. River water, the state is always kind of fighting with the neighboring states on distribution of water. Now that's a political issue which we kind of protected the interest of the state as much as we could, and wherever we require to take the legal assistance or approach the judicial authorities, we approach the judicial authorities to protect the farmers. Two, and dissemination of research and science, as we discussed, it cannot only remain in the public sector and in the government sector. More and more private sector, more and more non-governmental sector NGOs need to be involved not only in research but dissemination and application of research, so that research reaches fast, because government cannot engage as many extension officers or as much manpower as they, because it has a cost to that. So if there are trusts who are willing to help the farmers not only in providing the input assistance but also in kind of guiding them on technology and science which the farmers can adopt, so we need to really open up. Last but not the least, there is always in kind of felt need to improve the quality of agriculture education. So you always need to not only update the next generation, give them the latest knowledge, give them the latest information on many technologies and data sciences and whatnot. You also need to kind of improve the skills of the incumbent farming community. So you see, they may not be literate enough to come to the universities and colleges. So government has to work out a system whereas the incumbent farming community is guided, facilitated. They are given more information. They are inculcated with more skills and knowledge, which they are able to apply freely and frankly, and they probably get the benefit of it. You see, that system of formal education will remain. The learning which comes from the non-formal education and the informal education, those system also needs to be strengthened. Right now, I don't think there is any non-formal education system or informal education system or informal system that creates knowledge and information for the farmers. At least they are able to improve their present way of doing the business in agriculture.
Is there a possibility of, say, probably a network, maybe farmers coming together at one particular platform, not just in Punjab, but probably from different parts of the country, where they share about what has worked for them, what has not worked for them, where they kind of come and discuss about the kind of variants that have, done wonders or have, kind of completely ruined their produce. A sort of a paddy network is something that I'm hinting to. Is that possible to have that in a country like India?
See, there is a traditional and old system which is working. You have village level Kisan Melas, you have block level Kisan Melas, you have state level Kisan Melas, and you also have interstate Melas, also internet forums for sharing knowledge and information. But they are still going on in kind of an old fashioned way. The system needs to be, if you are thinking of any portal or any technology driven initiative, I'm not too aware. There are technology driven innovations which have been done not only in this country but many other countries, but that have not really been popularized amongst the farmers. Farmers are still guided and facilitated through the old system of agriculture fair, agriculture melas and agriculture gatherings. We need to really update that system. But there the question, the limitation which you talked about earlier also, the question handicap is, one is in our country, because of diversity, the language barriers, the barrier of digital literacy, digital understanding, the language or inadequacies of skills. On the individual level, some progressive farmers, some potato growers, there's the Potato Growers Association, there's the Quinoa Growers Association. There are 5-7 of them. They have got together, they have accessed, they have been able to avail the benefit of new technologies. But if you ask me any organized effort, any state level effort, I don't think so. Non-governmental efforts, individual group of farmers have made some initiatives, but that need to be consolidated, that need to be built upon, and we need to kind of scale it up for the benefit of large number of farmers who are small and marginal farmers. That is a thing we need to do it. Unfortunately, that effort is not adequate.
But can agriculture remain the sole engine of growth for a state like Punjab?
See, it cannot remain the sole engine, but it cannot be wished away at all. It will still be the main driver. You may have 2 engines or 3 engines, but the driver in Punjab will always be agriculture. If that is so, we need to not only diversify the agriculture as an occupation, we need to diversify state's economy. If we have had diversified state economy, if the service sectors improve and industrial sector, particularly industrial sector, the secondary sector based on agriculture improves, agriculture will remain the key driver of Punjab's economy.
So I'm seeing diversification as the word that is coming again and again. Diversification in terms of what you sow under the ground, and diversification as to what happens when that produce is plucked from the ground and put into the industrial processes. Keeping this in mind, do you think future policymakers can design these interventions which are truly inclusive in nature, which are not just aligned with the political whims of a particular party, but keeping in mind every possible stakeholder that's there?
Paul, you answered yourself. If you ask me, can it be designed? Yes. The new policies, innovative policies, focused on the contextual realities as they are emerging, or as they may emerge in future, these can be designed. The question which comes always at the time of formulation of policies and programs is the political economy of the project, of any scheme and any intervention. And that political economy has to think beyond now. We've reached a stage in Punjab where the leadership has to rise to the occasion and see, okay, yes, I'm there for 5 years, but I'll make a plan for 20 years. I'll make a plan for 30 years. I'm sure if you start any good, well thought out process, plan or intervention which is targeted, let's say, something like Viksit Bharat. Viksit Bharat, looking at next 20 years, is paying dividend. People appreciate, particularly the people who are intelligent, people who are educated, they think, okay, here is a leader who thinks beyond. He is not thinking till the next elections. He is thinking of 2047. God alone knows who will be there in 2047, who will not be there. But at least he has put a thought process in motion whereby all the ministries of Government of India are talking and working on plans for 2047. Likewise in Punjab, we need the leadership both at the civil and political level to rise to the occasion and think beyond. Okay, where is the plan for next 30 years? Whether it is plan on water resources, whether it is plan on agriculture management, agriculture resources or agriculture development, whether it is plan on your development of service sector or development of your industrial sector or your what's happening to your urban development, what's happening to your rural development. On the one side, the livelihood is depleting in the rural areas, people are migrating to the urban areas, and urban centers or your cities are not ready to receive the population. The youngsters are moving from the rural areas and living in the slums in the urban areas. Can this go on forever? Who will identify these issues? Who will talk to the people and tell the people, okay, these are your issues, I'm here to help you out. I'll work out a plan for next 30 years and see that my next generation does not live in slums. My next generation has adequate jobs. My next generation, my next level of agriculture is fully diversified. My system of marketing is fully diversified. I'll pick up all crops, whichever way I have to design the market intervention. Can any leader rise to the occasion and say that? It requires a lot of courage. It may not pay you dividend immediately, but I'm sure it will pay dividend to the people of Punjab in long term.
I have been going to a few of these sessions that CIPT organizes along with KVK, where a lot of scientists, they also come in and they interact with the farmers. Do you think organizations like these and the kind of work that they're doing on ground can bring some sense of that there is science involved in the entire process of agriculture in the minds of farmers?
Paul, you rightly said, Jai Kisan, जय जवान तो बहुत चला, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली जितना जय विज्ञान होना चाहिए था वो नहीं हुआ. Science or scientific inputs in making agriculture policies are invariably or say largely ignored. There is always a clash of interest while making the policies, and at least my experience is that invariably the science and scientists get ignored. Now, science tells you don't give water free. Science tells you don't give electricity free. Science tells you don't use more than X quantity of agrochemicals or X liters of agrochemicals or X quantity of wheat and other fertilizers. But unfortunately, nobody is listening to that. Fertilizer supplies are increased based on what we call is political economy of agriculture. So agriculture policies are driven by the political economy of agriculture. I sometimes call them pernicious agriculture politics. When a farmer is not required to kind of use water, why are we allowing him to use water? Okay, there is a case for free electricity. You see, today if you take, as I said, 150,000 CR is the total output cost of agriculture. Now, agriculture electricity subsidy bill is about 15,000 crore. It is 10% of your agriculture produce. If you take it on the agriculture input cost, it will still be 8 to 9% of your agriculture input cost will be agriculture electricity. Now, farmer is not able to take, the small and marginal farmers are not able to take the hit of 8 to 10% if you withdraw agriculture electricity subsidy or free power. But nothing stops you making these subsidies more targeted. Why should you and me get free electricity? Why can't it be given to only small and marginal farmers? Why can't there be a limit? And why should we, even if at all we have to give it free, why should we give it unmetered? There are studies and scientific evidence available which tell you that For let's say for production of 1 quintal of rice or wheat, you need about 500 units of electricity. The wheat and rice production is not rising, whereas electricity consumption is rising. Electricity consumption in agriculture sector is rising to 8 to 10% every year. The only justification I have received on this from the farmers and from the agriculture bureaucrats is that farmers are digging more and more deeper tubewell, and there is more and more electricity is required to kind of extract water from deeper pumps. But the fact is matter that may be on 1%, 2%. It can't give a rise of 8 to 10% electricity consumption. It means the free electricity provided for agriculture sector is being misdirected or used in other sectors for other purposes, not for agriculture production purposes. So if it has to be free, it should at least be metered. It should at least be rationed. Okay, you have 8 acres or 10 acres of land, 5 acres per unit I have to give you. I'll give you 5,000 units. 5,000 units we will measure. 5,000 units you can take free. That's a more targeted kind of a intervention. And if you consume more than 5,000, you pay for it. So why can't we do it? So there are scientific evidences which are available. Other thing is the science, agriculture science has done pretty well when it comes to introduction of new varieties, evolving new agriculture practices, new scientific way of doing cultivation and harvesting and post-harvest management. Many new innovative things have been done. But unfortunately, those things are not practiced in the farm, in the field level. Because which we कहते हैं farm lab से जो है farm तक जाने में there's a gap. Because one, there's not adequate extension of it. 2, you don't have adequate extension staff. 3, whatever staff you have, extension officers, extension machinery, extension human power, manpower you have, they're not adequately aware, adequately trained to transfer that science from the new practices or the lab, whatever is done or whatever is kind of researched in lab to the farm. So from the lab to farm, that gap needs to be filled up. And I think time has come when we need to privatize agriculture research, when we need to privatize, at least engage institutions and organizations like CIPT who have the capacity, who have the knowledge and wherewithal to transfer knowledge from the lab to the farm level. If there are private organizations who can do better transfer of technology to the farmer level, if there are people in the private sector or in the non-governmental sector, NGO sector, who can deliver better results, create better awareness amongst the farmers, guide them in a better way. Take the example of CIPT. Now the sensor meters which CIPT tried to propagate, now people started listening to it. If there are meters available that can sense the moisture requirement in the soil, and the farmers can be guided, facilitated to use water, to consume water or provide water to the farms as per the moisture requirement and not unnecessarily, and wean the farmers away from the flood irrigations or traditional way of kind of watering the farms. Why not? Whether CIPT or any other organization which is in the non-governmental sector, which is supported or backed by any scientific institution or any educational institutions, we need to involve them. Unfortunately, agriculture research and science has become a prerogative of only public sector or of the government. Somewhere down the line in the Western countries, in developed countries, agriculture research is also privatized. You need to regulate. So you can set up a regulatory laws, you can set up a regulatory mechanism, but encourage more non-governmental organization in agriculture research, their participation in agriculture research, their participation in transfer of research from lab to the farm level. So that is required to kind of make use of science. Otherwise, science, if left to only public sector, and science only left to the policy makers, and mind you, policy makers are political executives. Bureaucrats do not make policies. We as bureaucrats help the policy makers or the politicians in making of policies. Bureaucrats will always bring on table the data and science. Okay, Vice Chancellor is saying this, The director of research says this, we should do this. This is all a bureaucrat can do. Ultimately, call is to be taken by the agriculture minister, the chief minister, the council of ministers. So call is to be taken by the policy makers, the political executive. That is where probably I still feel there is inadequate attention or inadequate effort to kind of synergize science and policy.
One last question before we finish this. What is going to be your message to the youth of both Punjab and other agricultural states? We have Uttar Pradesh, we have Tamil Nadu, we have West Bengal, and other states. These are primary states that I just mentioned, Maharashtra as well. I see a lot of enthusiasm in young people. They want to continue agriculture, but there are a lot of hindrances, as we have discussed across this entire 1 hour, 2 hour podcast that we've been doing. What do you want to leave them with, if I may?
In fact, you and me need to change first. Our thought process need to change. All this while we've been talking that agriculture, everybody is concerned. Agriculture income is stagnating. Agriculture, farmers are in distress. Farmers are committing suicide. Next generation is unwilling to stay in the agriculture. Now this thought process has to change. Agriculture is here to stay for all time to come. Agriculture is not declining or depleting. Agriculture is transforming. Next generation has to be given the job and responsibility, and they should they should show the courage of conviction that we have to transform agriculture. Agriculture has to become more technology driven. Agriculture has to become more energy driven. Agriculture has to become more knowledge driven. And who's going to make it? The next generation youth has to make it. And my take on the youth of Punjab particularly is they can do it, provided the policy is so reoriented, so readjusted, or so remade that they look at these priorities as per the contextual realities. Contextual reality is that youth is aspiring for better life. Youth has information, may not be as adequate as it can be. So we need to provide more and more information, more and more knowledge to the youth, equip them with latest knowledge and information to kind of come up with solutions which they think are more appropriate for themselves. But we as a system, we need to create the systemic capacities to drive the youth with new knowledge and new information to enable them to do something which is more knowledge driven and transform the agriculture, not really think that agriculture will not give me dividends. Agriculture, this is a very, very regressive thought that agriculture will not give you more income. My take in Punjab is the agriculture of Punjab or the youth of Punjab or the next generation of youth belonging to the agriculture families or the farm families can probably draw more money, extract more money, make more money through the agriculture processing, through agriculture marketing. They can be agriculture businessmen. Why should the big corporates come from all the way and get into agriculture marketing in Punjab? Why can't the local youth get into agriculture marketing? Agriculture marketing itself is a paying remuneration. Agriculture business finance is a paying remuneration. Agriculture engineering is a paying remuneration. Agriculture technology and agriculture innovation is a paying remuneration. Why are we not encouraging the youth belonging to the rural areas or rural youth of Punjab who are sitting with not much of work to do and incentivizing them, skilling them, improving their education and knowledge and skills to kind of live a better life with agriculture and through agriculture?
I think with that, I want to draw close to this conversation. It was a hopeful conversation, to say the least, with you. You sit here with 40 plus years of experience, and thank you very much for sharing those insights that you have. I'm sure a lot of policymakers, a lot of students who are interested in policy, a lot of people who are sitting in power probably would listen to what you have to suggest for the benefit of Punjab in the future. And collectively, we can formulate some ideas of how we can make agriculture, water governance, sustainable again, for our own benefits and safety in the future. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Paul. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope it made some sense to you and maybe the viewers at a later stage.
Thank you very much. If you like this conversation, do hit the like button. Subscribe this particular channel for more such videos, because we are going to talk to more such people. Do tell us if you have a guest recommendation that you want to see on this chair and need to learn more from. Do let us know how you're liking these podcast episodes, and subscribe and help to make agriculture sustainable again. Thank you very much.